Frost, along with my co-host,
Sumer Basin.
And we have one of our lovely guest hosts, Lauren, joining us today to join our even lovelier guest, no offense, honey,
None taken.
Dr. Veronique Desaulniers, otherwise known as Dr. V. And say hi.
Hi, great to be with you guys.
It's fantastic to have you on the show. To give all our beings a little bit of background, Dr. V is she's did her traditional training in chiropractic, but has really spent the majority of her life devoted to passionate about breast cancer and treating and preventing breast cancer because of her own story, which I'll definitely let her tell. But we specifically wanted to have her on the show because of her natural approach to healing and preventing breast cancer, which is I absolutely love and am inspired by. And one of the things that I also really connect to is your training in chiropractic, because I really think that chiropractic training is a good foundation for many of the alternative medicine and wellness community practitioners, because it gives you this sense of holism and holistics, which Sumer and I talk about pretty regularly. And I think it's important to have that foundation, and then from there to go forth and discover your passion and to to let life guide you. And you've been you speak all over the United States on breast cancer, and you've been to a number of different countries and just spreading your mission of how to treat this kind of horrible this horrible disease for women, an epidemic for women, but also I think giving a lot of people hope. And I love on your website that you say you love life. I think that's awesome, and you look fantastic. By the way, it says you graduated in 1979.
Were you even born then?
I was not.
I was.
So and I love in your video on your website that I love your energy, and you can just tell you're filled with a lot of energy. So thank you for being on. Please tell us about for our video viewers, Dr. V is on audio today, but we have video. I want to show you a copy of her book. And there it is. It is Heal Breast Cancer Naturally, 7 Essential Steps to Beating Breast Cancer. So, Dr. V, tell us just a little bit about your story, about how you developed this passion, because you clearly have, from the book, you've done a lot of, besides research, but the research, it looks very passionate. And I know from someone who I do a lot of my academic study and research based off of what's in my life has pushed me to research. So it's very impressive, and just kind of tell me how you arrived at all this.
Well, I can give you the short version or the long version, but I'll go with the in-between version. So basically, at the age of 16, I knew that I wanted to bring wellness to the world. I sat in a lecture given by a chiropractor, and it was just one of those light bulb moments. I knew that I want to share this message with the world. So left my little French-Canadian community in 1977 and became a chiropractor in Georgia. And was rocking along in my practice, was very successful, just teaching a lot of principles about health. 1983, my father is diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and that was a life-changing moment for me, because the doctors basically sent him home, gave him no hope, and wrote him a death sentence, which he bought into, and he was dead in 6 weeks.
Oh.
So during those 6 weeks, I just felt so frustrated, and I had so much anguish that I kept thinking there has to be something that could be done. So 1983, before the internet, believe it or not, went to the library, started doing research, and was realizing, yes, there were things that could be done. I called different cancer clinics that were few and far between back then, mostly in Mexico, and people were getting well. But unfortunately for my father, it was too late. So I started applying a lot of these principles in my practice, and literally started attracting patients from all over North America. I mean, I was seeing reversal in autoimmune diseases like lupus and rheumatoid arthritis and cancer and allergies and I mean, you name it. People were getting well just because they were applying the laws of nature and the laws of the universe. Fast forward a few years, my mother's diagnosed with breast cancer. She does not want to do chemotherapy, although she does radiation, which they blistered and burned her breast, and it stayed red hot till the day she died. And then she decided to come to Georgia to have her treatment by, Dr. V, her daughter, Dr. V, and she never had an issue with cancer again. But then fast forward a few more years, 2004, I'm getting ready for work. I'm in the shower and I feel this lump on my left breast. And, my gut just told me, I just knew that it was not a benign cyst. So I had it tested with non-traditional methods, and sure enough, breast cancer was diagnosed, and it was obviously a very life-changing moment for me because I was Dr. V and I was helping take care of the world and heal all these other patients, but I kept asking myself, how could somebody like me develop breast cancer? And so that's when I really dove into the research, really did a lot of emotional and soul-searching work and realized that there were pieces of the puzzle that I was missing. Even though I ate organic before organic was in style, I exercised, I was under chiropractic care, I had home births, I was, I breastfed my children. I thought I was doing everything right, but as I went along, I realized that there were pieces that I had to add, and that's how I ended up creating the 7 essentials. Because if you follow these 7 basic steps, you never have to fear cancer or any dis-ease for that matter.
Oh wow, that's powerful. I mean that cancer sort of had such a profound effect on your entire family, and actually that's why I really wanted to even have especially Lauren on this call, because she has personal experience with her family with cancer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my mother was diagnosed with breast cancer when I was in college, and she was stage 0, so it was treated with a mastectomy, but it was an incredibly scary time, and I think she felt a lot of those same feelings. I mean, she had been, she was going organic before it was in style. She did all of these healthy steps, and it's sort of that, how could this be happening, this disbelief?
Right. And it happens to more and more people. According to the World Health Organization, cancer statistics are going to increase by 57% in the next 20 years. And we're already at the point where 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women will develop some form of cancer in their lifetime. 1 in 8 women will develop some form of breast cancer in their lifetime. So those statistics are going to increase unless there's more awareness and there's some radical changes in people accepting responsibility for their health.
Do you think that those with those statistics being so staggering, and do you think it makes people a little kind of cold to the issue, where it's kind of so, like, you kind of hear that it's so bad, but it doesn't really alarming? Or is it the other way around and it's actually like over alarmist? Because I do feel that people have a hard time kind of seeing through a sane lens what can be done with these statistics, that they're either a death sentence for many women, or that they're just kind of like let it go and don't even consider what to do.
Well, the thing that people have to understand is that by the time they discover a lump or a bump, and that's the way traditional medicine looks at it, it takes 5 to 8 years for that to develop. So, for example, when they see something on a mammogram, that has been developing for 5 to 8 years. So the key is not to put your head in the sand, but to realize there's certain things that you can do to be very proactive with your health that can prevent the development of cancer. Cancer is not something that just happens to you. It's something that has been allowed to grow in your body because your body's immune system is deficient, you're toxic and tired, you're stressed out, you've got too many metals in your mouth. There's a number of things that go into that. but there's preventable steps, and there's tests that can detect cancer when it's the size of a pinhead before it shows up in traditional tests. Unfortunately, mainstream medicine does not use that. If they did, they would save millions of lives, but they're not necessarily into the job of saving lives, cutting and patching, and sometimes that's necessary. Thank goodness we have doctors that can save people from heart attacks and fix broken bones, but getting sick people well is not their specialty.
Yeah, I even often say that it's remarkable that modern medicine can save. Like, we have become so good at saving lives that would have been completely unsavable, but we were absolutely miserable at improving the quality of life.
Yeah, very good. Very well said.
And I think that with Western medicine, my brother was diagnosed with testicular cancer a while back, and they kind of put him into this kind of fear-based situation of, we have to act now, we have to get you into chemotherapy now, we have to get you in radiotherapy now. And it was kind of this impending sense of doom. If you don't do it now, then it's like, you're done. You can't do anything else. And it kind of pigeonholed him into this one view, one perspective. It's either our way or the highway. And I was wondering, with your experience, was it very much the same? Was it kind of like they're trying to push you into one sort of therapy, or how was it for you?
Well, that's a very good point that you make. For me personally, I chose not to do any type of traditional testing or any type of traditional treatments. So I knew what I was going to do. I did a lot of homeopathics and specific herbs to weaken the cancer, colonics, cleansing, all that. But as your brother, as an example, unfortunately, when people are diagnosed with traditional methods, they're put on that assembly line, path where you have to do this, you have to do that. But statistically, if people did nothing with their cancer, they would live longer than they would if they did the traditional treatments.
Wow.
So I always tell people, you have time. I mean, I work with women all over the world through Skype and phones and email in 16 countries so far. And awesome. It's the same story everywhere. And I tell them, you don't have to make a decision today. If your doctor's told you have to do chemo and start tomorrow, you have to have surgery in a week, give yourself time to absorb, do your research, look at the possibilities that are out there, look at the side effects of the treatments that they're recommending. And I'm not against people doing traditional treatments. I'm for people supporting their bodies if they choose to do that, because of the devastation that it causes on their immune system and their liver and their colon and everything else.
Yeah, it's a last resort. It's not a first effort, and I think it's so important to kind of clear a baseline, right? Because if you're out of balance in all these other areas in your life, in your eating, in your your emotions, and just the way that your body is able to heal your wounds, as you sort of talk about in your book, I think that if you're being exposed to toxic, you have a lot of toxic exposure. I think that those things become confounding variables, and we go to treat things that with medicine that really aren't meant to be treated. So I agree with you 100% that those things can be useful for the people that they're a tool for, right? But it's the right tool for the right person at the right time. It's it's dosing properly. But
that's so true. So first of all, you can cut out the tumor, but you're not cutting out the cause of what allowed the cancer to develop in the first place. And then as far as dosing, a lot of people don't realize that they have options there. Instead of just guessing at what chemotherapy is going to work for you and doing a cookie cutter approach, why not do something called the grease test? The grease test basically grows your cancer cells in petri dishes and tests 50 different types of chemotherapy substances, as well as 50 natural substances, so you can see what therapies affect your cancer cells most. And so if you get an 80% die-off with this type of chemo, then compared to a 20%, then you know that that chemo works well for you. Same thing with the supplements. Different herbs and supplements are going to work better. And let's say you do decide you want to do chemo. Well, there's something called IPT, insulin potentiating therapy, where